Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of City Skylines. My name is CityZilla, and today we are going to be talking about my top mods for beginners. And so my goal for this episode is to show you guys some of my basic mods that I use that I think have the most value for somebody who's new. And if you're anything like me, you probably went onto your favorite YouTuber's Steam page and literally just downloaded all their mods and assets. And honestly, that's not a bad way to learn. It's definitely a crash course. The problem is there are a lot of outdated mods and a lot of outdated assets. And I have gone through quite a few times where I had issues with my games, or I couldn't load them up. I had to troubleshoot them. It's a very arduous and tedious process. I've had it take days before. And so my hope is that through some of the things you're going to learn today, that maybe you don't have to go through that experience. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to look at some good practices when looking at mods and assets. So we are going to search up Multitool. And the reason we're going to do this is because one of the mods that I'm going to be showing you today actually makes this mod obsolete. And so one of the first things you want to do is look at when it was last updated. And so this one was last updated August 9th of 2019. And so this is a huge red flag. That means that this person who created this no longer supports this mod since it was almost 3 years ago. And so the next thing you can do if you find that you have a mod that you're really interested in and you're not sure if it still works, scroll on down through the comments, start reading the comments, see if there's any sort of issues. And it's kind of funny. So get an error incompatible with extended managers library, such a shame. That's because extended managers library has Multitool in it. And so you literally have to just go in and check it on if it's not on there. And so this Multitool is obsolete because of extended managers library. So if you're one of the people who feels like you can't use extended managers library with Multitool, it's because you shouldn't. You don't need to. The new Multitool is infinitely better than this one. And so definitely go check it out. We're going to dive into that in a little bit later. And so the next one we're going to look at is Prop and Tree Anarchy. And so the reason we're looking at these ones in particular is because these have recently within the last year been made obsolete. And so for a long time, these were the go-to mods for being able to place down props or trees wherever you wanted to, or to be able to put props in a line very easily. And so you can kind of see with this one, updated April 15, 2021. So that's a huge red flag. Make sure you pay attention to that. And then come on down to the comments again. So obsolete, you'll even see this. A lot of times you'll see people who will comment obsolete, and a lot of times they'll even leave links to the new mods. So make sure you check on those. The one area that you don't really have to pay too much attention to this is assets. So if you're looking at like buildings, vehicles, trees, anything like that, you can stretch pretty far back with assets, and a lot of times they'll still work. They don't interact with the core game mechanics in the same way that mods do. And so now that we have looked at those, let's go ahead and look at a couple other mods that are great maintenance mods that you really should have, even if you only have a couple mods. And one of them is the compatibility report. And so what this mod does is actually saves you a ton of time in going through and looking for updates or scrolling through comments to see if a mod that you have is causing some sort of conflicting problems in your games. And what it does is it actually spits out a file that is super easy to understand. And here's even the little links if you have Mac or Windows or Linux. And so you literally just follow this path, and what it does is it will print you out. It will give you a sheet telling you which of your mods are not compatible with each other, or which mods you should maybe update or uninstall, which mods are no longer supported. And so if you're thinking about adding mods to your game, you should definitely add compatibility report. Definitely worth it. Especially if you have had issues in the past, or maybe you're having issues right now. This is a mod that can really help you out in a lot of ways. A lot of times too, I'll just be scrolling late at night. I'm, downloading stuff. I'm like, oh man, this is cool. And I'll click subscribe. And then next thing you know, I open up my game and something's wrong. And so I'll go into compatibility report and I'll find out like, oh man, I have a mod conflict in here because maybe they interact with something within the game in different ways and they're just not compatible, or even in the same way sometimes. And then the next one, and I'm sure everybody already knows this, but loading screen mod. And this one recently had an update, and it's because the original version was left abandoned. But what this mod does is actually a couple things. So this mod is definitely geared more towards people who download a ton of assets. If you only have a couple mods, you could definitely get away with this, although I do find that the game does load a little bit faster still. And so you can kind of see on this one, February 10th, it was updated after the last major DLC, which is fantastic. And another really awesome thing about this one is it prints you out a sheet. And so one of the things that I will do with loading screen mod is I'll actually go into all of my mods and assets, and I'll unsubscribe from everything. And then I'll use loading screen mod in combination with the in-game tools for the save files to just subscribe all, to basically go in and make sure that I have every asset and mod that I'm using in a save active. And it's one of the ways that I go through and just kind of purge mods and assets that I never really use. Sometimes I'll subscribe to things and I'm like, oh man, this is really cool. And then I find out like 6 months later that I never used it. And so there's no point in having something like that subscribed if you're not going to use it. Especially with mods, every single mod that you download will have a performance hit. It doesn't matter. Some of them are like 0.05 performance hit, and some of them are very large. I'll show you guys later one of the mods that I use. I actually use a less popular version of it because the really popular version has a pretty large performance hit that I'm not okay with. And so let's go ahead and jump into the game now that we did that. Okay, so we are in the city of Canalville, one of my main series, and we are going to be talking about the first mod on our list, and that is Move It. And so I'm not going to dive into a bunch of the basic functionality of Move It, as many of you guys already know. I do have a ton of other mods that I'm playing with. I'm planning on doing a full episode with all the mods that I use. If you're interested, make sure you subscribe. I'll have that out within the next week. And so within Move It, there is obviously all our core functionality. You can move everything. You can change the height. You can set the same height, basically. You can grab both of them, just Control H. There's a ton of hotkeys, a lot of really great time-saving features. You can click this little function and move things around while it follows the terrain. You can grab this and have it snap in vertical line. You can use marquee function to basically select everything, and I could get a little crazy and just kind of delete all this if I wanted to. Boom. Let's see how long that's going to take. That might take a while. I just deleted a lot. But look at this. So you can hit Control Z and it will bring it all back. Okay, so it's kind of funny. The only thing that didn't get brought back was the landing strip. I ended up having to delete it and replace it. But a fair bit of warning for that. If you do want to marquee select a very large area like that, it does require a decent amount of VRAM and regular RAM. And so you do end up running into issues quite a bit. When I was initially building out this canal network, I had selected it all and moved it, and it took a while for it to figure itself out. And so you need to be careful, but it is a really convenient tool if you do want to just delete like an entire area. Say you don't like something, you can just kind of select all this rather than going through the bulldoze tool and like selecting everything. Another really cool feature about the marquee selection tool is you can choose this little feature, and this is great for like small lights or really small objects, or if you have an object underneath another object that you can't seem to grab. So what you can do is literally just hit that, and then it turns white, and whatever you select is going to be the one thing that is selected by the marquee tool. So if we go like that, you see how everything is selected. It only selects that one road type. So now if we come in here, we can select it all. It will only select that one road type. So you can see we have a couple more little road types over here that are the same. Same with this one right here underneath, and this one over here. And so it's just a really easy way for you to delete everything of one type maybe. It's definitely a feature. I use them with the little lights quite a bit because it's hard to grab them, especially bulldoze. So like there's lights in here, and there's lights pretty much in all of my canals. It's really tough to go through and actually select them. So like even though I have Move It in here, like it's going to be almost impossible. Whereas if I were to select this, find one, and then just grab it, a lot of times I'll just place one on the ground, tap it with this, and then go through and select them all, and then you can delete them super easily. And so some of the other great features, copying. Anybody who watches me knows that I will copy buildings quite often. You can do this with unique buildings. So you can grab this, just copy it, place it down wherever you want. You can do a whole row of housing, copy it, and then go around. It's kind of funny. Surface Painter is giving me some issues right here. So we will go like that. Boop. Nobody saw that. And then, yeah, there's just a lot of great features. Another really cool feature with Move It, you can move procedural objects. And so you can come in here, they light up purple or this like purple pink. So you can grab them, move them around, adjust the height. You can even copy them as well. It's just a really easy way rather than jumping into procedural objects. That's a mod that we're not going to touch on today, but again, if you're interested in a more advanced version of my mods, I will be releasing a video here soon on it. All right, and then some other functions in here. You can convert to PO, which is great. So if you have an object already placed in here, you can just grab it and convert to PO. Anybody who uses procedural objects, it's a really convenient feature. Line up objects is fantastic. I use these for decals a lot. So like if we grab all three of these, go like this, go to line up objects, you see how it just shifted that one in there. It just makes it so that they're all perfectly aligned. Mirror objects is also great, especially if you are looking for a really symmetrical look. So if we want to come in here, go like this, And say we want the other side to be exactly the same, even though that's not a perfect circle. What we can do is go ahead and grab all the nodes, go like this, go in here, go to mirror objects, and then what you do is you attach it to an area where you want it to snap to. It is kind of a weird function for it to snap, but it is an easy way for you to get a mirrored function in there. That does happen quite a bit wherever when you select it, and it kind of just does a weird snap to that. You can also toggle underground view with this, and then you can toggle grid view with this. You can kind of turn it on, turn it off depending on what you need. And then there are some rotate functions in here: rotate at center, rotate in place, set position, reset objects. Super convenient. One of the most convenient and underrated features of Move It is import selection and export. So if you're a detailer or you just spent a ton of time on something and you know that to replicate it's going to be really hard, what you can do is literally just come in here and go to select your whatever you want to export. So if you want to come in here, it's kind of funny, I think I copied this. So we'll select all these and then literally go down here, export selection, and we'll just do wood tiles, and we will hit export. Yep, super easy. And now what we can do is go in here, go to import selection, go to wood tiles, import, and now we have a nice, super easy way to replicate this without having to go through and actually place them down and redo the same thing over and over again. Anybody who hasn't watched me, I do these for like fountains, things that take a lot of time. So like this one right here, this one's a really extravagant fountain. I don't know if it's going to be placed that properly, but we'll go ahead and go like this, and we'll go like that. Nice. And it's kind of funny, you want it to all be on the same level, and that's why this fountain's not really the greatest at this. It's still a little low, so I'm going to go ahead and shift it up. Yeah, you know what, that's actually pretty good. It's kind of funny though, the middle section was a different height, and so it didn't work out quite as well for importing and exporting on this one. You definitely want them all to be the same height, whereas this one was a tiered fountain. If you guys are interested in checking this out, it's a part of my Olympic build. It was a really cool fountain that I did. I'm going to show you guys how to turn this into a circle again with another mod that we're going to adjust here in a second. And so let's actually go to one that is a little bit better of an example. So this square one's pretty good. So we'll come in here, and we didn't need to do that, but we'll go ahead and hit Control H right there, and voila. And so it is hovering. This ground is not even, but this is a really great example of how you don't have to place down all this water and little curbs and everything. You just kind of import it, and then you just don't have to worry about it ever again. It's fantastic. And so then you do have some slope features, though these are obsolete due to another mod that we're going to talk about. And so Move It is great. There is so much value in this mod, and that's why it's number one. Honestly, it's one of the mods that most people always talk about as being necessary. It's definitely worth it. And so let's go ahead and jump into my second mod. And so my second mod of the day is going to be Network Multitool, and that's because this mod single-handedly is probably my most used mod next to Move It. And so let's go ahead and look at some of the functions of this. So you have add a node, take a node away, and anybody who watches me knows that I use this quite a bit. Whenever you have, oh, this is a great example. So having these nodes right next to each other will actually cause these cars to slow down a little bit. So it's always good to just go in there, remove it, and then if you're using node controller, just kind of bring that back, and it makes it flow so much better. And you'll actually see sometimes where the cars will slow down and you're like, what's going on right here? It's because you have too many nodes. So if you go in here, you can kind of just go around and look for nodes that are too close together. Even like this one right here is probably too close. This one's definitely too close. It can cause issues. Nodes are where cars do their pathfinding solutions. So like they'll change lanes, stuff like that. That is our first one. Then you have Union Nodes mode, which I honestly don't really use too much, but I think it's if you have like two roads that are over each other or something like that. Maybe if one of you guys know, you can comment down below. We will go ahead and give it a shot though. So we'll come in here, and I think if you draw it across, if you Anarchy, come in here, go to Union Modes node. Yeah, there we go. So then what it does is it snaps it to that node and then makes them connect. It's actually a really easy function to use. It's kind of funny. That's what I thought it did. I don't often have issues like that, and I think that's why I don't ever really use that. But I would imagine split node mode is for the same thing. So if you have nodes that snap together that you don't want them to snap, this is how you remove them. This also does the same thing. So if you have two roads that go right over each other, you can just choose them and then they will bind to each other, which is great. This invert segment mode is fantastic, especially for key walls. If you use key anarchy, this mode on its own is just fantastic. So what happens is you'll get keys that will be facing the wrong direction. So like for most of this city, the invert segment tool has saved me just so much time. It's crazy. I have a whole tutorial on how to build canals as well, where we go over the invert segment mode. Set slope mode. This is a great function. This will allow you to basically level things out in a much faster way. You do have to click any of the junctions that are in the way, and what it does is it gives you a degree of the slope. So once you have all the desired nodes that you want to level, what you do is you just hit enter, and what it does is it will average them out so that your slope is set to a more realistic angle. So like this was a good example for this. We came all the way down. It's kind of funny. I think we have some junctions on here. One of the things you got to be careful with this is it doesn't tend to go really far, so you got to be easy. It's kind of funny. They're all set to 3.6 except for that top one because we've already done this. So if we go ahead and hit enter, yeah, all it did was move that 3.6. This is also really great for leveling things out. So say you have two roads and one section's really high, like say we'll go over here and just kind of raise this up. Yeah, that's like way too high. And so you're like, man, I could go in to move it, or you could literally just come in here and go like this, go like this. Make sure you grab that junction. Bam, leveled it out. Super easy, saves you a ton of time. Arrange at line mode. So this is the same thing as in move it. It just lines everything up, makes it really easy. Arrange at circle mode. This is fantastic. So whenever you have something that you want to arrange in a circle, maybe you have a roundabout that got a little wonky on one side, or maybe you're not using Roundabout Builder and you're just doing it on your own and you have Network Multitool. Well, if you hover over something and it automatically goes purple, then it automatically recognizes that it can be made into a circle. So what you do is you just select it. It'll actually give you the radius for the circle. It doesn't really allow you to mess with it too much. It just allows you to mess with where the nodes will be. So if you go ahead and hit enter, it creates a nice little circle. It is just such a great tool, especially for, I use them for fountains quite a bit. So if we come in here, let's go ahead and grab that next one, go like this. Perfect. And so that actually got pretty close to what the initial version was supposed to be. You can kind of see this was definitely supposed to be more elevated, and there's some water in there that was supposed to be higher, but that's all right. So then create loop mode. This one is fantastic. We'll actually go to an example of this. These ones right here were created using create loop mode. What it does is it just helps you to create a almost perfect circle turnaround whenever you want to. So it really saves a ton of time in having to draw them out, trying to get them perfect. Because whenever you can get those perfect angles, it definitely looks better. Create connection mode. This is fantastic for very large connections. This is a test build, so I'm definitely revealing a little bit of what I'm thinking about for the future for this. This is a train line that I have placed for our new agriculture area that I actually just built. If you guys are interested, it was a fantastic build. I really like it. So what I did is I actually used this mod to be able to do it. So create connection mode. Let's go ahead and grab our road first, go like this, turn it to unmodded, go to create connection mode, go like this, and come up here, go like this. And then what we can do is just move this out, and we're actually going to make it a little bit wider so that we can make that turn a little bit swooping. And then if you ever have this on the wrong side, all you have to do is tap it to go to the other side, and you are good. So we'll go like this. Looks like we need to be back on the other side. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. Perfect. And so it does look like there are some segments in here that are wrong. We're going to go over this mod that I'm using to upgrade these. Again, a really common mod, great one to have. But it looks like the rest of that's pretty good. It does look like our train's on the wrong area, but that just really helps you to save a ton of time when building stuff like this. Now, create curve mode, very easy, same functions. You literally just take this away, grab your road, go into create curve mode. I don't really use this as much, but I do every now and then. It just helps you to create a nice swooping turn that's even. Parallel mode is fantastic. So if you're trying to do like a freeway or like these canals, I did these canals with create parallel mode. Anybody who hasn't seen me build these canals, what I do is I build out roads first, and I literally draw out the whole canal network. I did it with this one too. I drew it all out with rural roads. And then I come into create parallel mode, I grab my key, I literally go down all the roads. So you literally just grab your nodes, and what it does is it creates a parallel function right next to it. And one of the cool things with this as well is you can actually subtract it all the way to 0, and then you can raise it up. So if you want to do like a road on top of road, maybe you want to do like a bridge that's a double decker. This is a really easy way to do it because it will literally just replicate it. It'll be an exact match of the road down below. And so it's a really fun way to create some character in your areas. And then last but not least, we have unlock segment. This one's pretty straightforward. I use it a lot with fishing piers or like harbor, stuff like that. So it allows you to literally just lock or unlock segments that are attached to something already. So like with the fishing piers, they already come with a road attached. So like you place it down and you're like, man, I really don't want that road. Or maybe you want to put another fishing pier like right next to it. You're like, man, those two roads, it's just in the way. So what you can do is literally just come in here and then just delete it. Choose the bulldoze tool. Yeah, go like that. Now you can do whatever you want with this if you want them to be like right on top of each other. Maybe this is like a super pier or something. Not sure how the boats are going to get out of here, but whatever you want to do. And then we'll go in there and delete that. Nice. And so that is Network Multitool. Highly recommended. I'm sure most YouTubers would recommend as well. Is definitely worth it. And so let's go ahead and jump into our next mod. And so the next mod on my list is actually a collection of mods. And so I will actually call them our Anarchy mods. And what they are is Tree Anarchy, Prop Anarchy, Extended Managers Library, and Fine Road Anarchy. And then we're actually going to throw in Fine Road Tool as well, since it is also a great feature to have, especially with Road Anarchy. And so we'll actually jump into Road Anarchy first. It's super straightforward, really easy to use, and honestly one of the most versatile mods that you will use in this game, just because it simply does exactly what it sounds like. So it is what turns your little bird in the top orange. So if you hold Control A and just you can toggle it on or off, and it actually has this little feature down here, which I believe is actually a part of the Fine Road tools. So you can toggle road bending, you can toggle node snapping, you can toggle road collision. So like if you have road collision off, whatever you drive over will stay there. Trees, roads, buildings is probably one of the biggest ones. So if you're coming through here and upgrading buildings, it's good to turn off road collision, because then a lot of times you'll lose things like pathways or something like that. And it is definitely just a great tool to have. So along with those features, you can also force certain elevations for road pieces. So you can force ground piece, which does exactly as it says. So if you come off the ground, it will force it to raise. This is something that I use whenever I'm building out my canal. So if you come out here with forced elevation, what it does is it actually will build an island rather than putting an elevated piece there, which is fantastic. It has really helped me with my canals. Forced elevated piece is something that I use with this. This is a freeway over wall asset, and so it likes to build walls whenever you do elevated pieces, and so I will do forced elevated piece, and it's what gives this nice little pillars and a kind of open space below it. Whereas if I do forced bridge piece, what it does is not that. That was definitely the bulldoze tool. So we will come back, and then what I'm going to do is upgrade this. And, you know, maybe it's the other way around. Yeah, so elevated piece gives the wall. Bridge piece gives this nice little cut through, which is fantastic. And then force underground piece is something that I use whenever I'm building tunnels. If I want my tunnel to be a little bit bigger, what I'll do is I'll upgrade it 1 or 2 segments longer. And it just saves a little bit of time rather than having to delete and kind of force yourself to go underground and then keep it into a tunnel or terraform the ground or whatever. It really just saves a lot of time. That tool on its own is literally just worth its weight in gold. You will get so much use out of Anarchy in so many different ways. And so now let's jump into Prop Anarchy. And so the Prop Anarchy and the Tree Anarchy that I use are actually a part of a set, and they have a mod dependency called Extended Managers Library. And what that is, and you'll see this a lot with different mods. If you ever subscribe to a mod or an asset and a little pop-up comes up and it tells you, you know, subscribe to these other things, those are mod dependencies. And you see those a lot with assets as well, where a creator will actually use somebody else's asset in their asset. And so you have to subscribe to both of them if you want it to work correctly. Well, with mods, it's actually a little more severe. If you don't have mod dependencies like Harmony 2.2 or Extended Managers Library, then the mod actually won't work. And a lot of times it can cause your game to crash or something like that. Like if I were to uninstall Harmony 2.2, my whole map wouldn't load up, and so I would have to reinstall that. And if I were to go even further and then save it, I probably would have even more issues. And so that's also a great tip. Whenever you're dealing with mods, it is always good to have multiple saves. Don't put your city into one save. Like I literally do a save for every single episode, which is a little bit easier. But like we can come in here and look at this, and I literally have just probably hundreds of saves at this point, every single one, because I do takes as well. So like these are test builds. I'll end up doing separate saves for all of those as well. All right, so now let's jump into Prop Anarchy. So Prop Anarchy is very simple. It does exactly as it says. Whenever you're dealing with any props like fences, fences, or anything you're placing down, like maybe benches or something like that, it just allows you to place it wherever you want. One of the biggest areas that you'll see this in is with zoned buildings or something like that, maybe a plopped university or something. it will allow you to place whatever you want on the zoned area. And so the little square that you get whenever placing down a building, it will allow you to place it down there. One of the cool things too, like this right here, when I did these waterfalls, these little curbs, this was because of Prop Anarchy being able to place it on top of the key wall like that. It's still kind of hard. You got to play with it with Move It mod. It's definitely difficult. Like doing these waterfalls was not easy. One of the things I did want to mention though with that is this is actually what comes with the prop line tool, and it actually has prop painter as well, transparency load fix, additive shaders, decal prop fix, and these were all separate mods at some point. And so you would definitely want to use those. You want to keep prop snapping on as well. That was a separate little function too. And then it also has some level of detail fixes if you like. I do adjust these a little bit, though I don't find too much of a difference, though like the distances and stuff I do tend to fix a little bit. The prop line tool, I believe, is way better than the one that was actually its own separate mod. It pops up this little box that is just fantastic. And the old one used to have the same functionality in a lot of ways. But basically you have these features. So these are all spacing defaults that you can set. I don't really mess around with these too much. One of the things I do mess around with though is in actual props. So if we jump in here and let's just search up like a chair. So we're going to come in here and we will open up that same tool again. You can see it even gave you a separate little row. It allows you to spin the mod in different ways. It allows you to set up the like static angles for everything. So along a curve, like where will the pieces end up? This sets up where you want it to land. So if you have that set, what it'll do is it'll actually put a piece right where your pointer is at the end, which I think is fantastic versus this just keeping the spacing. If enabled, circle snap to the near size, that will perfectly fit all items on the curve. The near size depends on the spacing parameter. These are if you do a lot of like circle details. It's kind of funny. I don't really do too much other than like maybe roundabouts. So the only features I really use, the primary one is just setting spacing. So like if I'm doing like a bush, I'll set it down to 2 and I'll come in here and go into bushes. And then what it does is it just puts them right next to each other. Or if I'm doing like say palm trees or even like these young lindens, I'll raise it up to 8, go ahead and hit enter. And what it does is it just gives you a nice spacing so that you don't have to place down all those trees. And so I still do place down a lot of trees on my own just because prop line tool can't really do the chaos of real life trees, but it's definitely a great feature. And so now let's jump into Tree Anarchy. And again, this Tree Anarchy is fantastic. It I don't think it does too much over the original, though it does look like it has tree load fix. So you have a level of detail features in there. It does also have a sway factor in here too. It's where your trees kind of blow in the wind. I definitely have noticed more of a realistic sway with this one over the old one, but I can't honestly say if I focus too much on it, but you can definitely see the trees going back and forth, which I think is just fantastic. And so this just, exactly as it says, it just allows you to place trees wherever you want to do. One thing I do want to say, this whole hide tree on load is kind of finicky. You definitely want to do it if you load this into a city that you already have, because then what'll happen is you're just going to have trees everywhere. What I normally do is set trees to delete when built over. So if we go, delete tree behavior when overlap occurs. So I delete trees as I build over them, just because I try not to hide trees. Even trees that are hidden in the game are still counted. So like if you build a bunch of buildings on top of trees, like say this whole island had trees, if I didn't have that function, then the trees would still technically be there, even though all these buildings are technically built over them. And so it's definitely something that I try to do. Okay, and so I think those mods are fantastic. Let's go ahead and jump into our next mod, which is Node Controller. And so quick disclaimer, I do use the original Node Controller. I'll go ahead and link it in the description if anybody's interested. The primary difference between the original and the renewal version is the renewal version has a really big emphasis on a better UI. So it's a little bit easier to understand and it's a little bit easier to control. The original does have more features. It's just a little bit harder to get used to and it doesn't look as good whenever you're doing it. Like with the renewal version, you get those fancy little green lines and everything. With this one, you just don't. And so what you have to do, if you do want to mess with the nodes in that way, you have to actually hold Alt and then it gives you this nice little hover over yellow, which I think is great. A lot of the features are definitely more advanced over the other one. It gives you a lot more control. So like you can go up here and do that, which you can still do with the other ones, but then you get embankment as well, which I'm not sure if renewal has. It's been quite a while since I've done it. Then you have stretch features too, and this is how I do like my little walkways with my prison build. You can do shift too, so if you wanted to go this way or that way, which I know renewal has. But then you also have like access points as well if you want to customize them on your own. I don't really do these, so I don't have too much of an understanding of this. But then you can also come in here and just set your nodes to different types as well. So if you grab it, you come in here, go to customer node lists. This is how I'll get like different key walls of different types that will actually snap together. They still don't look great. So like if we jump over here, this is a good example of it. It just makes it so that they're together. Whereas if this was a custom one, the game wants to put a gap in there because they're not the same. And so it won't even give it a term because this is, the standard key and this is the bridges and piers key. And so definitely worth it though. This is something that will make your game infinitely better, especially these turns. Like look at this. It looks like I didn't go in here too. So like this is a great example of where node controller can shine. It's kind of funny. I cleaned these up, but then I guess it just didn't follow through. So if we come in here, go like that, then what I'm going to do is go in here, go to make sloped, and then we'll actually come back here and go to make sloped as well. And then what we can do is actually remove this node. This is a little too close, and that's why it's giving that a little cliff moment right there. See how you remove it. For some reason, this like highway over wall roads have those issues. So like if I do the same thing over here, it'll probably make it infinitely better. Yeah, we'll go like that. Perfect. It's so weird. I definitely cleaned those up, but then, yeah, so like this side's good. Let's actually look at this one. Ooh, it looks like this one's pretty bad too. I don't know if I looked at these. This one's terrible. This is like a jump. They're like flying off the freeway. And so we'll go ahead and remove that, and we'll go ahead and remove that. And then what we'll do is do the same thing on this side. Remove, 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 remove. And this is just clean up too with the network multi-tool. You don't want to have too many nodes. It makes your game run better if you don't. So then now if we come in here, go to our handy dandy slope mode, grab these, and it does look like we're still having some issues down there. So if we go like this, and why is it? Oh, it's because the node's too close. So if I grab that and bring it back, go like that, and then jump into node controller and hit sloped. Nice, perfect. And it does look like we're having the same issue on this side, just node's too close. So we'll come back here, go into node controller, grab that, and hit make sloped. Fantastic. And you can actually do a lot of really fun stuff with this. Like I know not too long ago, Overcharged Egg had a whole tutorial on how you can do like separate roads. Like if I had a rail line coming up here, I'd actually be able to grab this and then hold Alt and grab that rail line and then put them right next to each other so that it would be one giant junction with the rail line actually going across right here rather than having to go into it. And so this is definitely a very robust mod. You can use it for a lot of stuff. I do want to say that one of the other main reasons I use the original over the renewal is because I seem to get a performance hit with the renewal. And so if you're finding out that your game is kind of lagging and you use the renewal version, go ahead and do some testing. See if it works a little better if you load in this one. Because it could just be my games. I'm not really sure. I routinely will purge all my mods and bring them back in. And so I do a lot of testing to see like which mods I get bigger performance hits on, and renewal was one of the biggest ones. The second I switch these out, this game will just instantly grow to a crawl. And so I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's been updated since then. And so I'm not saying, don't download it. It's definitely something you got to figure out on your own, but it's definitely something to consider. And so let's go ahead and jump into our next mod, which is Traffic Manager. And so Traffic Manager is fantastic. It will literally help you out in so many different ways. So let's jump in here. Traffic Manager has a bunch of settings in the options menu. I definitely recommend going and checking them out. And honestly, I am not a pro at them, but I have used quite a few of these. And so if you go into gameplay, reckless driving percentage, if you want to have, a bunch of crazy drivers, you can set this higher. I normally go Holy City, 0%, which I know isn't realistic. Individual driving styles is fantastic to have as well. On really large cities, I tend to disable it. Just because my computer isn't the most powerful in the world, and so I do tend to have a little bit of a bog, though this will help out your traffic quite a bit if you have this on. Road condition has a bigger impact on vehicle. This is a fantastic feature, especially if you have road maintenance vehicles in the game. Disable despawning, so I actually play with hard mode enabled, and the reason I do that is because it allows me to stress test my game a little more, especially with traffic. So like right now we have 84 with no despawning, which is fantastic. So if we were to turn that on, there'd be a good chance that we'd actually be up near like 86 or something like that. Our city's pretty well optimized. And a lot of this has to do with our recent addition of these train stations, which I haven't actually done in Canalville yet. I'm not sure if we're going to keep those or not. And so let's jump back in there. So enable advanced vehicle AI. I normally keep this on. This will actually prevent your cars from lining up in one lane, which is fantastic. If you really like parking, enable more realistic parking is a really great feature. One thing to look out for with this is it makes all of your people prefer mass transit. And so you'll get 100% car trip saved, which is really cool. And it creates some really cool transit centers. You'll get like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people using a transit center. We actually did this in Zillawood where I had like 6,000 people going to my underground metro station. It was really cool to see. But it's one of the reasons that I don't use it. I think it's kind of unrealistic for everybody to prefer mass transit in real life. Even though mass transit will be a better option, people will still choose to drive. And so it will fill up your parking lots and it will, and all that stuff, but I just don't think it's worth it because of the mass transit. It's just not realistic. And so if we go into policies, you can literally change so much stuff in here. So buses may ignore lane arrows. This is if you have like bus lanes, you can have a right turn only, but then buses are allowed to still go straight. And you can really play around with this. I definitely recommend coming into here and just kind of sifting through all these and figuring out what you want to do on your own. And a lot of this you just kind of test out and then you just figure out what you like. Some of the primary features I use on this are these down here. So this first one is just to turn on the standard vanilla lights, which I still do use in a lot of settings. They can be fantastic lights just because they're quick turn. They don't leave cars waiting for a long time. It's kind of funny. All those still had lights on them. So we'll even turn these off because they're small roads going onto big roads. We don't need them. And so what I'll normally do is jump down to this priority signs, come down here and just give it a yield. And what this means is, it's just like in real life, the road coming onto the big road has to yield to the big road. This feature right here is timed traffic lights, which honestly we could do a whole video of its own. But one of the best things you can do is just hit Control Shift and click it, and it'll automatically set up a nice timed traffic light there. If you're ever confused, not really sure what to do, what you can do is just hit stop, hit edit, and these are the maximum and minimum amount of seconds that light will remain open. So it's always good if you have a really like heavy light. I'd go pretty high, go like 8. And then on your second number, you can actually go really high. So you can go to like 25. And what this does is it tells you that the light has to remain green for at least 8 seconds, and it can remain green up to 25 seconds. And so this is something that does happen in real life. In real life, they tend to be much higher though. And so it's definitely a fun feature to work around with. I'm going to go ahead and remove time traffic light. I don't need that. And so another feature I use, these lane connectors. These are great for your lane mathematics on here. So we'll actually click that and just hit Control S and it will automatically set these up because I don't have an extra lane right there. What it's going to do is actually have a couple of these collapse into others. If this is a really high volume connection, then it's really smart to actually add them in. Same with this one. I did put in a turn on that one. Same with these. You can go ahead and set these up. I did set up some of our bigger ones. So like if you come up all the way over here, this one is all set up to where they're not going to be backing up. That's kind of funny. I don't know why this one's not set up yet. If we go like that, I guess nobody could turn right there. I wonder how long that's been like that. It's like so many people who probably wanted to turn right there and they couldn't. But then like over here too, I have them coming in to the left and then they can go right. This will really help you to prevent cars from backing up, because another great feature you can do too is grab a node and just hit Control S, and what that means is people can't change lanes in that node. The game uses nodes for cars in pathfinding, so they will only change lanes in nodes. And so if you ever find out that you're having issues where your cars are acting really funny, this is the problem a lot of times. You either don't have enough nodes or there's too many nodes. And so you can go in and restrict the nodes, or you can even go in and remove nodes, which is kind of the same thing. So you can just go in here and just hit Control S, take it off. Really great feature. Highly recommend it. Lane arrows as well. If you just come in here and hit Control Shift, go ahead and hit all those. What it'll do is get rid of those shared lanes whenever you have enough lanes for it. So like this one, I gave a dedicated right, and then it gave a shared straight and left turn. And it's just a really great way to get people into different lanes. And this is in real life too. You don't want people waiting for a right turn to be people going straight to be waiting in a right turn lane, because people who could turn right aren't able to. And so this is just a way to optimize your cities. This right here, junction restrictions, is a fantastic feature. You can use it to disable crossings. You can use it to tell people that to continue on. In the base game, cars won't block the intersection. So like they'll actually slow down to an intersection and then go across, slow down, go across. You can tell them to not do that. You can tell them that they can change lanes in an intersection. In the base game, the only nodes that cars can't change lanes are in are the nodes that are in junctions. And cars also by default don't take U-turns at junctions. And so you can toggle that as well, which those features on their own can be really fantastic. Another awesome feature you can do is speed limits. I use this pretty heavily in Crater Lake because what you can do is actually set a default speed for any road type. So like this right here, 30, that's actually pretty low. What we're going to do is bump that up to 45. This is in miles per hour. So 45 on a rural arterial or like suburban arterial is actually pretty fair. You normally, at least where I'm from, would only see 30 or 25 in residential areas. And because this is a little bit farther from a house, I think it's a little bit better. And by hitting that default road, what's going to do is anywhere that that 6 lane is now 45 miles per hour, which is just fantastic. So like even this one way over here, really great feature. Can really help out with your traffic as well. Like even, so if you look at this one, it's still pretty low. We're going to go ahead and grab this one as well. We're going to hit 45. Fantastic. So now those trucks can go a little bit faster. Vehicle restrictions, if you want to go in and get a little crazy with some bus lanes, or like in Crater Lake, I did busways. You can actually go in and remove the access for any road type. So you could do public roads or buses or taxis, delivery trucks, recycle, or emergency service. So you could literally make a little road that is only for like ambulances. Say you did like a hospital or something right here, you could do a road that only an ambulance has access to, which I think is really cool. Parking restrictions as well. You can come in here, go like this, just grab your little road. Oh, so if you come in here, it'll actually show you where parking is allowed. And it's kind of funny. I guess it's just because of the bike paths on the end of the road, there's actually no parking. So you can actually come in here and cycle it if you want to. Like say you're getting a road where a bunch of people are parking, you really don't like it, you can just come in here and close it. Really great feature. Something that is really fantastic as well that I do use quite often is clear traffic. Especially with larger cities, whenever you're playing with a ton of mods, it's pretty common to experience issues with industry areas. And so what I'll do pretty routinely, maybe even like once every week or a couple weeks, I'll clear all the traffic. And what it does is it just gets rid of any stuck sims or cars, anything out there, and it will reset the pathfinding. And it was actually over the last couple of weeks, we had a few episodes where my city was losing a lot of money. And that was actually how I solved it. I just cleared all traffic, and for some reason, I just started making a lot of money again. I was like, all right, well, I guess the pathfinding was having issues. And so I just will routinely just boop, go like that. The only downside of that is it gets rid of all my ferries too, which really sucks. It's like all my ferries will start coming out here now, and then they actually kind of stay grouped up together, which kind of sucks. So now there's no ferries over here. What that does is, you know, it just makes it so that all the places can now set out trucks that they need to do. There's no like random vehicles running around. It's kind of funny. We got abandonment over here. I'm guessing it's from not enough workers. Yeah, we need to do a residential expansion. Okay, and so I think that is it. And I will say that this is definitely not all inclusive. I know there are probably a lot of mods out there that people probably would have liked to see in this. There's a lot of honorable mentions like 81 Tiles or Roundabout Builder or Bob or any of the camera mods out there. Visual mods, zoning adjuster, intersection marking tool, and we're definitely going to dive into those. So if you're interested in seeing all the mods that I use, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm going to have that video out here soon. If you've enjoyed this episode, I definitely recommend the video on your screen, and thank you so much for watching. I will catch you guys on Sunday.